on our mobile app, wherever. And it's just so much fun to be able to have so many avenues to be able to reach people these days. And because radio is still a big thing. Okay. And that's where we got our start, and we're continuing down that road. But it really is so much more than that. So your help, though, is needed because we are 100% listener supported here at Holy Family Radio. So the number to call, our volunteers are in the studio next door to us through the window. Hello there, ladies. 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. You can also go to our website, holyfamilyradio.fm, holyfamilyradio.fm. You can visit our online donation page there. You can also text the word give to 419-969-3255. That's 419-969-3255. And when you text that, it'll respond back with a link. Takes you to the exact same place. Our mobile app as well, the donate button there takes you to the same place. You can make your donation one time, recurring, whichever. Doesn't make us any difference, and every single dollar helps. As we started this particular Spring Spirit Drive, we want to honor our underwriters, and because a lot of times they become kind of like an afterthought as we get going into the Spirit Drive, as we keep talking to our guests and all that. But this hour, we're focusing and want to thank McElwain Industries for their long-term support over there in Kalida off of Road L. I want to thank them for their support. They also support our Catholic school folders as well. So I want to thank them for that, and make sure that you make sure you visit and let all of our underwriters know that you appreciate their support of Holy Family Radio. Okay, so our next guest is on the phone, and I'm pleased to welcome this person because, I talked about the fact that, we're Holy Family Radio. At some point in time, I think I want to change that name to Holy Family Media, because there really is so much more to evangelization than just radio where we started from. And, that's why we're doing this video live stream, because more people are watching on their mobile devices, and they want to watch videos. They want to see us. They want to, know who these people are. And so when we talk about video, that's another avenue that we can use to evangelize. So that's where this next guest comes in, because I belong to a Facebook group for youth ministry, and someone asked the question about where can I find good videos that I can show to my teens? And several people listed, various sources. And one of these, I thought, that's a strange sort of name. I never heard that. So I followed the link, and I went and took a look, and I spent the next hour watching all the videos because they were so good. And I was so impressed that I thought, you know what, if I have a shot at getting a contact with this person and having them on, I'd love to talk to them to find out about it, because I think they got an interesting story to share. So it's a long-winded, roundabout introduction to our next guest. Our next guest is Randy. That's all I know about him as far as his name goes, but he goes by A Beggar. So I'd like to welcome to the program today, Randy.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. And I was laughing as you said that about how the name kind of stuck out to you, because that's exactly what I was going for. So I'm glad that the name caught your eye and you were able to click on it that day.
Yeah. So why don't you give us an introduction to you and this whole idea that you have here?
Sure. Well, I guess I'm going to have to go back a little bit, but it kind of my background is in animation. I used to live in Los Angeles. I worked on comic books. I worked in kids' toys. I worked in television animation for Disney. I worked in video game development, and I was all about kids' entertainment, but had very little faith at that point in my life. I would call myself, I always call myself the apathetic agnostic. Like, I believe there's probably something else out there, but I really didn't care. I really could care less about it at that point. I was more into what any young person who's, is kind of making good money and out in Los Angeles and living in that whole scene would be into. And it wasn't until actually later that, as what happens to a lot of us, we kind of get into a situation or a crisis where we're kind of face to face with just kind of what does it all mean? Like, what's the point? What am I like? Why am I here? What's it all about? And I kind of got to one of those points, and that's when my faith sort of I was born and raised Catholic, but sort of went my own way in high school, and it wasn't until, unfortunately, somebody very close to me got very sick, where I just said, okay, like, what is this all about here? I'm falling apart. I'm like coming apart at the seams. And I saw in this person, who I can say happened to be my mother, that she just had this incredible strength and this incredible peace and this incredible conviction. And I was like Mr. Hotshot, so I thought at that point, but I was completely falling apart at the seams. And I was like, okay, whatever she has and my dad had, like, I don't know what that is. I don't understand it, but like, that's what I need. And that kind of started another whole long story, which I'll skip right now, of me getting back into my faith very, very strongly. But the point is my animation was in this background and development, and I was always wanted to do that. But after a while, I couldn't do it anymore. Creating like, a new series for Barbie dolls, or knew that like I needed something more, like something was missing. So to make a long story short, I ended up entering a seminary here in New York. I'm in New York, and I literally drove across the country, entered a seminary in New York, and was in the seminary for like 6 years. And I got pretty much as far as you could get to becoming a priest without becoming a priest. I mean, it was like months, weeks from the diaconate, transitional diaconate ordination. And I just felt I really missed being creative. I really missed the animation process. I really missed, I felt that was a part of me. I felt these were all these gifts God gave me that I wanted to use. And I just felt this strong, call to try to use animation and even entertainment in this slight way. And I think you know what I mean by that, but to evangelize, and I was here in New York, and I was speaking at churches and going all these places, and we'd be in a church, and there'd be the same 10, 20 people who show up to any church talk, and then I would walk outside the church in Brooklyn or in Manhattan or whatever, and there'd just be thousands of young people on their phones and watching videos and watching animation, and I just was like, okay, that's where I feel called to connect. So that's kind of the long story of the catalyst of all this.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting how sometimes it takes a crisis for us to bring us to our knees, to bring us to a reckoning point where we have to make a decision, what it is that we're going to do or follow. And then you mentioned being in the seminary, being so close to being there. I remember in my formation to become a permanent deacon, how they talked about how it's a discernment process all the way through. And it's two ways. It's yourself and then the church as well. And I wouldn't say it's not unusual, but it's not unheard of that you can get all the way through and realize, you know what, this is just not for me. And there's no shame in that. In fact, if that's the way, if that's the decision, if that's God's will, then that's the way it should be, right? So listening to that, I mean, that I give you a lot of credit for that, and listening to the Holy Spirit, and then to take that and channel, that creativity into something else, I think is very admirable. And I'm really glad you made that decision, because when I looked at some of those videos, the quality of the animation, I looked at that and I'm like going, this is not something I could easily recreate. It would take me a long, long time to do some of this. So, give me a sense of, and really, there's also you do an excellent job of telling a story throughout. It's not just some images. You touch on some really core subjects with people. So, give me a sense of what your process is for this.
Yeah, a lot of it is just. It's funny because people ask me all the time, like, "Oh, how do you know which video you're going to do next, or what?" And I always joke. I say I come up with all these ideas. To me, I think they're brilliant, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be like the best idea ever." And then I go and I sit down and I pray about it, and then God is like, "Okay, that's a good idea. Maybe we'll get to that later, but this is what we're going to do now," and it just changes the whole thing. And he's like, and it literally, as we all say, but it's literally, starts with just that inspiration from the Holy Spirit of okay, let's try this now. And then it's just, I'll write something out, and again, I'll think it's brilliant, and then I'll take it to adoration or something, and I'll get down on my knees, and same thing. By the time I'm out of there, it's rewritten 20 times, and it's totally different from where I started, and just that's kind of the starting point, and then people see and think and whatever in different ways. To me, I see it first in pictures. So I see the animation, and then I'm like, okay, now I got to get the words to fit, because writing is not, I don't know, I don't think that's my strong point at all. So I'm like, all right, how do I say just enough to get the image to stick, to make sure the image sticks. And then just go from there. And a lot of it too has to do with, comments. I noticed these waves of I don't know, just trends or similarities or things in comments where I notice a lot of people are all kind of asking the same thing or trying to get at the same thing, or for example, my last video was on prayer, and that just came from a lot of people I want to get close to God, but I don't really know how to do that, or how to pray, or how to, and I got so many of those. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do something about prayer. And so that's how that sort of happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the topics are big questions. They're big questions that all of us have, but I think for younger people too. I mean, why does God let bad things happen? Am I kind, or am I just nice? Will God make my problems go away? There's a temptation as an evangelist to tell people, hey, just have a relationship with Jesus and all this other stuff, and everything will be okay. It's just well,
right.
Yes, but it doesn't really guarantee or make things go away. And I just like these they're big questions that a lot of people need answers to, or would like to have answers to. So,
right, and a lot of those too, I have those questions, and I'm trying to work it out as I'm working out the video. I'm trying to work it out for myself, and so it's really almost very prayerful, and sometimes when I start, I don't even know where it's going to really end, and I'm sort of so most of those videos, like I'm going through that too, and I think. Because my number one thing has always been like, oh gosh, I just really don't want to sound like I'm preaching or like I'm, and that's a comment I get all the time. They're like, well, I'm not really that religious, but like I like this because you weren't preaching, So those I'm like, oh, like thank you,
Yeah.
I imagine the 6 years of formation that you had toward the priesthood has really also come in quite valuably in producing your videos.
100%. It's funny because before going to the seminary, I actually had this idea of like, oh, let's just do animation and I was teaching like RCIA and things like that and confirmation, and it's like, yeah, I got a pretty good idea of this stuff, and I realized first day in the seminary, like I don't know anything, so those 6 years of living in formation, living in community, living in prayer, living in study, and all those things were just like I'm so grateful. I have no regrets. I 100% loved every part of it, and couldn't have done it without that. And I remember my spiritual director kind of saying to me, like, he's like, if you're going to leave here, it's going to be because God's calling you out to something else. It's not because you're going back or to something or you're abandoning or whatever. It's like because God's calling you into something else, and that's kind of what I felt that drew me out of the seminary.
Yeah, I know. Watching the videos, I can tell it's the personal journey for you in terms of some of these stories. It's a personal thing that kind of comes through. It's because there's a depth to it that I kind of sense to it that I really, really appreciate. So, a question I have is the name. What's the genesis for that? This I am beggar.
Sure. And I was hoping you would ask that. And it actually comes from two different things. And again, this is just kind of discoveries on my own, path, which we're all on our own, path on this together. But it really came from these two like aha moments of the first is like, I am the beggar, like I am the beggar begging, like coming to the realization that pretty much even down to my next breath, like I'm dependent on him, I'm dependent on everything from him. I don't, it's like we think we can bring all this stuff to the table, but we just bring ourselves to the table on our knees and are just, completely dependent on him. So that's the first part, that like I'm the beggar in front of Christ on my knees, but the second realization is that Christ came down, stripped himself of everything, the kingdom, the glory, everything came down as, in our skin, in our clothing, as the beggar on his knees to beg for me, for my heart, my soul, so Christ is the one who's saying, like, I'm the beggar, I'm begging for your heart, so it's that twofold kind of realization that sort of happens on the journey. And then I just thought, well, this is kind of a different name that stands out, and I love the beggar, the beggar, the parables and the stories, and the Augustine called himself the beggar. So I always liked that sort of, thing. So that's kind of where the name came from.
Well, very interesting. That's really great. I did get a sense, excuse me, about the idea that we are all beggars along the way, or our pilgrim journey, and so yeah, I appreciate you sharing that story, and it's all a personal journey for us, and so yeah, so hey, we're talking to Randy, who is the video producer, animator for I Am Beggar, which is iambeggar.com. Not I am as in I am, but iambeggar.com. You're listening to Holy Family Radio Spring Spirit Drive here, 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655. Our volunteers are getting, I wouldn't say they're getting bored, but they do need something to do. They do need a phone call to answer. You can be that person to get to get to talk to them. 888-287-0655. 888-287-0655. You can also text GIVE to 419-969-3255 or our website, holyfamilyradio.fm. So Randy, now that you've produced, I don't know, it looks, maybe a dozen or two videos, and I'm sure there you have more to come. What are you looking for this to turn into? What do you think are your next steps?
It's funny, I was just praying about that this morning, and I just would like to be able to first of all just do this full time. I'm not there yet. I still have to take side jobs doing videos for other people to pay for this. So that's my first goal, to be able to get I Am Beggar to be, somewhat self-sufficient. That would be the best. And then, I have just so many ideas of just videos, and I would like to get into longer form stuff, and then even some live action stuff about saints mixed with animation, and just really different, but really I think cool stuff. So I'll leave that all in God's hands, and just keep plugging away.
Right. Is there do you have a way to donate or offer support for, I guess, this ministry?
Yeah, you can go to the website. You can make donations. You can fund a video. You can, if we're starting to do some advertising stuff, so we can talk about that. Just anything, and it's just all about being able to make more videos and then get them in front of more eyes, and that's where all the money goes. So yeah, you can go to the website and find that all on there.
I'm curious whether you find that to be the most challenging aspect of what you're doing right now, the sort of, making it financially viable, and some of those, I don't want to call it technical or administrative, but, sort of just practical monetary issues, or whether there's some other aspect of the videos that you're producing that you find most challenging.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the thing that sort of hangs on me the most, on my shoulders, is okay, can I afford to keep doing this, and so that's just a constant, I don't know, just something on the back of my mind. But and I kind of, like we all do, I kind of go up and down with my trust in, okay, Lord, like, help me out on this one. And then like, oh no, he's got this, like, I'm all set, and something always comes around, something always comes in. And then, but then the other part of it, which to me really, is probably even more so is just, I don't know, sometimes I just get so stuck on, like, what is it that not so much me, but like, what is it that I'm trying to say here? And in this video, and I just kind of go back and forth and change it. And sometimes I'll change like 3 words, like 100 times, just to, is this better or is that better? And just like, I guess it's that, I don't know, overly perfectionist thing, but, cause I don't, I don't know. I just want to make, you just want to put the best thing forward. And, so that's probably what is, even more heavier on me than, oh, am I going to be able to pay my bills next month?
Right. Yeah. One question I had was going back towards the beginning there, where you're out driving towards your career, and then you knew you had to leave that. So you lost a lot in that transition, I would imagine. Could you maybe talk about that a little bit? How was that for you?
Yeah, it was actually really easy because at that point, I remember somebody said to me used this phrase once, and it always stuck with me. It was like the velvet coffin. Like I was in a velvet coffin where I was comfortable. I had, a career that was doing, pretty well, and on its way, and wasn't really worried about, money and stuff like that. But I just was completely miserable, because I just, something was just missing, and it just bothered me so much. And like that video, I did one video on the inevitable emptiness, and that's kind of that story in that video of like, just kind of this, this gigantic hole. And, I always use the Fulton Sheen line. We're all designed with like a giant God-shaped hole in our hearts, and that was like, that's what was kind of tearing me apart. And I remember sitting in some of these meetings in like, these big, like Disney, places like that, and just being like, I just don't want to be here or do this. And it was actually the best feeling to be like, I'm done, and just like, I'm out of here, and just shut it down and just drive across the country and leave it all behind.
Well, nice. I mean, a lot of times you think about people are really scared to kind of make those moves, and a lot of times they deny that for a long, long time. And and it sounds like in your case, it was just like you already had sort of that, like you said, that emptiness that you knew, and you finally decided, you know what, this is enough. I'm going to go make a change, and made a big change. So, you know what, and we're all the better for it. That is for sure. So we need to wrap up our time here because our next guest is coming up in a little bit. So I want to thank you for joining us today. Is there anything that you wanted to share that we didn't really touch in on that might help you to be able to reach more people?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you too. I really, really appreciate the invitation. I just would, I would just love it if people could just, you can go on YouTube, you can go on just the website. I'm on like all TikToks, Instagram, everything, and just check out some of the videos and just tell me what you think. Yeah, that's my favorite part, are the comments and the emails. And And if you like, if there's anything that, again, touches anything, then I would just ask, please just share it, because that's what helps me the most. And it's all, it's all for him. So yeah, so that's it.
Yep. Amen. It's all for the glory of God. That's for sure. I mean, just like radio, we're out there sending out the word of God out there, and, you're creating these videos and sharing that out to the world, and God works through that. So we don't necessarily, do things for God. We let God work through us. So we thank you for joining us today and sharing your gift with the world.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Amen. So we've been talking to Randy. You can watch his videos, as he mentioned, on YouTube. Just search for I Am Beggar, and it's IMBEGGAR. IMBEGGAR. I Am Beggar. And believe me, you look at those videos, and it's only going to take one. You're going to take a look at them and think, wow, that is really, really good. And so I would invite you to share those as widely as you can, and hopefully support. And if you feel so inclined, donate to him, and so he can keep that ministry sort of going. And so if you have any ideas as well for those sort of things, I would appreciate that too. So 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. You can text GIVE to 419-969-3255. You can also go to our website, holyfamilyradio.fm, holyfamilyradio.fm, and we can take your donation. We'll plug it in, and we just keep on going.
We'd love to get some new donors. We haven't had a new donor in, an hour or two maybe.
Yeah.
And we'd love to ring that bell to celebrate you stepping out in faith to join this apostolate and help produce Holy Family Radio, Catholic radio throughout the Northwest Ohio listening area. So give us that call at 888-287-0655. That's 888-287-0655, or text the word GIVE to 419-969-3255.
Yeah, and I can tell you, we've had 4 new donors so far in the start of the Spirit Drive, and last year we had a total of 8.
That's great.
So
pace.
Yes.
Yeah.
So starting off with 4 today, we're off to a fantastic start, and we want to thank you for those of you who did step out and supporting us. We really appreciate you so much, and we also then call all of our new listeners to share just a little bit of your treasure with us so that we can continue to do this and many more things with Holy Family Radio. 888-287-0655, 888-287-0655. Anybody who calls or donates will get one of these Mother Angelica prayer cards. This is a commemoration of the 100th anniversary of her birth, which is tomorrow. Okay, that's the April 20th. Today's the 19th. So everybody will get one of these. If you come into the office, please take a couple with you to share. And so we've got that. We've got anything else that you might want to do. So stumbling around here a little bit, but John Wood is going to be our next guest at the noon hour. You know him from Extraordinary Mission. He does lots of First Communion type retreats around the area and region, probably. I just saw on Facebook the other day he did another one this past weekend. And it's a nice family ministry for him because his whole family gets involved with that. And we'll chat with him for a little bit. I think he's going to join us by video like he did last year.
Fantastic.
So that'll be fun. We can kind of talk and look at each other as we do that. And then we'll have a break. We'll have some lunch. And then Al Cresta is going to join us at 1 o'clock. So I'm looking forward to that. We tried to get Al, and actually we did have Al scheduled many years ago as a guest, and somehow that fell through. I don't know what happened, but we're glad to have him and talk with him for a little bit. And he's our big Catholic radio guest for this Spirit Drive. I try to get somebody.
He's our headliner?
He's our headliner from that respect, right? Because we've had Dr. David Anders, we've had Teresa Tomeo, we've had Father Wade Menezes.
Prior years we had Leah Darrow.
Yeah, lots of different people. So, look, try to do our best to provide a great show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about this as a celebration of our Catholic faith and Catholic media, and there's so many great speakers and other people. It was so many great ministries. You know, Randy, who we just talked to, is another example of one. And you could kind of see or hear, at least for us, the kind of the emotion. There was a little bit of emotion behind some of what he was saying there, as he was detailing some of his stories and really the sort of humbleness through which he wishes to work.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen any of his videos or not.
I have not yet. I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. There's no other way I can say it. I've shared a couple on our Facebook page. It was a few weeks ago, right when I first found him. And then, so I was able to get him for an interview, and he's done a couple of others, podcasts and stuff like that. So hopefully we can help get the word around and get more people to see those videos and to share those, especially with our young people. Our young people, I'm thinking of our PSR Wednesday nights that we have at Saints Peter and Paul. We used to share videos, 2 or 3 a night. And one of these is perfect for that.
Perfect length.
The subject matter, is there a God? Why is there a God? What is love? What is sin? I mean, all these big questions that teens need to know.
Yeah, they need to know. They're curious about it. And I really love how he said at one point that these are subjects that he's grappled with, that he was asking himself and wanted to put together something that provided the answer. And I think that's great, because there's always I think an extra level of thoroughness, maybe is the best way to say it, when it's a question that you truly have for yourself. You really want to get that. You want to get that answer complete and thorough and correct. So that's great. I'm really looking forward to checking out his videos.
Yeah. I highly recommend them. I really do.
That's on iambeggar.com.
Right.
In case you're just joining us.
Yeah, and it's AR on the beggar, not ER.
Yes.
So I think that's the correct way to spell it, but you might think it's, ER, but it's not.
My spelling's not perfect, so I appreciate the clarification there, Deacon Jeff.
Well, sorry about that. I mean, we all love autocorrect, right?
Yes, that's right. A little bit too much.
A little bit too much. So thank you for those of you joining us by video who've kind of peeked in on us. It's a little bit strange, unusual to have video here, for us, as we kind of, I have a face or a voice, whatever. I've got the face for radio, right? And so now we're on video, and it's just like, okay, well, in any event, it's important that you know who we are and you get a chance to listen, because, what we try to do the best that we can. And we're not professionals. We've talked about that before, but
I think our listening audience knows that, Deacon Jeff.
Yeah, but I think you bring a level of professionalism to this that really just raises my,
Oh, no.
Raises the bar for everybody and everything.
Not at all. But we have fun these 3 days.
We do.
And, we have fun when you come out to visit us as well. Remember, this is sort of open house time, and if you're welcome to or if you're interested, you are very welcome to stop out to our brand new studio out right next to the St. John the Baptist parish in Glandorf, attached to the parish center and the preschool there. Yeah. So come check us out and see the new studios. We'd love to see you. We'd also love to hear from you. Give us a call at 888-287-0655 or text the word GIVE to 419-969-3255.
Yep, I was just handed a pledge card. We had a phone call come in with a generous donation. And they make that donation in memory of Ken and Marge Niece's parents. So I want to thank them so much for that. And in fact, sometime as we go on through the Spirit Drive here, I've got behind me a list of all those donations that were made in the past year in memory of or in honor of a particular person. And I'll read those as we kind of go through this. So
yeah, and don't forget, you can do that. You can call in your pledge or make your online pledge in memory of someone or in honor of someone. And we've had a fair number of people that have taken us up on that challenge, and we appreciate that, and we do everything we can to honor that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, 10 minutes before the top of the hour, we're going to take a break to get it to the top of the hour. We'll talk to John Wood when we come back, and I have multiple things going on here. All right. So you're listening to the Spring Spirit Drive here on Holy Family Radio, 888-287-0655. No, go ahead.
No, I was just coming to bail you out. If you were trying to do too many things at once, I was going to close us out so that you could focus.
I appreciate that. No, I got it.
You got it.
I got
All right.
it. I got it. Okay. 888-287-0655. We're going on about a 10, 12-minute break. You can still make your donation online or via text at 419-969-3255. I'm Deacon Jeff along with Kim Schrader here at the Holy Family Radio studios, wishing you the best, and we'll be back after this break.